I am Ollie Matthews, health coach to some of the world's leading entrepreneurs. And something that has come up in topic multiple times this week with, I don't know who decided this, but we changed our clocks this past weekend in the UK. In the US, it's this coming weekend. So I also have clients in New Zealand, and that was about 2 weeks ago. They changed the other way. So on one day, we had multiple time zones that had changed in different places or not changed and so on. It gets pretty confusing, but it actually got us onto this conversation that are people missing this trick when it comes to their health? Things like looking at the way your body works, the way your body is wired. I'm certain you would have heard of something called your circadian rhythm, basically your natural body clock. And so many times, especially this time of year, in fact, all the times of the year, we don't usually make the most of this. And your body regulates so much and it loves routine. So if you're having problems with your energy, your digestion, even struggling to drop weight, suffering from brain fog, problems with sleep, you'll probably want to look at how you are regulating your circadian rhythm, your natural body clock. Now, in the morning, when we wake up, and our body will get kind of connected to the sunlight. We need to have exposure to that light for your body to actually realize that this is the time to wake up. And the same in the evening. When we then go to sleep in the evening, or we wind down in the evening and the sun goes down, the light goes down, our body starts winding down. And obviously that changes based on the season. Now, in the society we live at, obviously you're not going to go to sleep here in the UK at like 4 p.m. when it gets dark in the wintertime. But maybe that was what happened years and years and years ago. But your body does need to be treated with respect if you want to get the most out of it. So one of the things that I look at with clients is that, are we waking at the same time? And are we sleeping at the same time? Because a lot of people have what we call social jet lag, where they end up with getting to sleep roughly around the same time. And then at the weekends, they end up sleeping a little bit later, or sleeping in a little bit later, or going to bed a little bit later. And they're essentially moving their body clock as if they are going on a different time zone. And this is pretty negative because even one disrupted pattern of your sleep has actually been shown to disrupt your cognitive function, the way your neurological function happens, so your brain function, for one whole week. So if you have one really late night, so you're actually doing all good, and then on Saturday night you go out and you get to sleep at 1 a.m. rather than 11 or 10, it's been shown to impact your sleep and your actual way your brain functions for up to one whole week, which is pretty stressful, right? It's pretty frustrating when we look at it. But what actually happens is that in the morning, when we wake up, we need to be connected with the light. It shows that we have this big spike of cortisol, the stress hormone. Now, cortisol is usually demonized, saying that we shouldn't have high levels of cortisol. But in the morning, we want to have high levels of cortisol. And then as the day goes on, it then starts to go down. And in the evening, around sort of 5-6 hours before our body is set to go to bed, so around 10, 11 p.m., we start to actually have that cortisol get really, really low. And another hormone called melatonin starts to get produced, and it's our sleep hormone. And we start producing this over the course of 5-6 hours. Now, one of the problems we have is that when we get stressed, we have this boost of cortisol. That's going to blunt that melatonin actual production. And we need to then start that process again. But also when we have blue light exposure, so we're not regulating with the light, we have false light exposure, that also tricks our body into thinking that sun has risen. And as a result, again, we have that blunting of the melatonin. So we have to go through that process again. So having exposure to screens late at night, having high levels of stress late at night, going for late night workouts and things like this can massively impact your sleep. Now, not only when we have poor circadian rhythm and we have poor regulation of our actual wake and sleep times, we actually then get problems with our digestion. We get problems with the hormones, get problems with the way our brain functions, problems with your energy, problems with how our body just manages stress, and even problems with losing weight or dropping fat. One of the reasons being is that our hormones go up and down throughout the day and they pulse at certain places. And our body has to release, especially like when it comes to digestion, it will release things like insulin to help get the sugar and shuttle it to the cells, but also enzymes to help digest your food. And your body loves routine. It loves regularity. So if you normally have your breakfast at, say, 9 a.m. and you wake up at 6 a.m., it's usually 3 hours after you wake up, your body starts producing these enzymes. So if you then wake up on a Saturday, say at 8 a.m., it then thinks you're then going to have 9, 10, 11 a.m., your first meal, and so on. And then your lunch being 3 hours later, and so on. And your body starts getting used to the way your actual body digests food. And you'll notice this if you actually had to get up to an airport or go for a flight early in the morning. And where normally you would wake up at 6 or 7 a.m., you've actually had to wake up at, say, 3 or 4 a.m. And you get to that plane, you try and force yourself to have breakfast. It doesn't digest as effectively. You don't end up going to the toilet as regular as you would normally do. Then you go into a different time zone. And it's a bit just all wishy-washy within your body that you end up not being able to digest or process it. Your sleep's a bit all over the place. It's pretty impactful to how our body actually works. So when we actually look at the way our body works, getting exposure to the light as soon as we can and actually kind of charging ourselves up to it really helps your body know when to wake up and when to sleep. There are also studies that are shown on mice that by actual changing their body clock with false light, just like people that are working shifts do, that actually impacts their immune function in just 3 weeks, almost to the point where they actually got sick. And then if that wasn't treated, they actually ended up passing away in just 3 weeks. Now, a mice's immune systems are pretty similar to the way our human immune systems work. So if they're doing that in just 3 weeks of changing their body clock with shifts, then imagine what it's actually doing to your own body immune system. We see so many people suffering with colds at this time of year. A lot of the times it's regulation and exposure to light. So one of the things I would look at is that how consistent can you be with your sleep times? How consistent can you be with your wake times? Now, I absolutely 100% get it that when you've got kids, it's hard to have the same sleep and wake times. But what you can do is you can just do your best. And that's all you can do. You can do as good as you can to have some level of consistency. Have some level of consistency of when you have your breakfast, when you have your lunch, when you have your dinner. Because the more differentiation you have between these meal times, between the time you wake up, between the time you go to bed, levels of snacks and everything like that, the worse an impact or the more negative an impact it's going to have on your health. So it's something just to bear in mind. Now, the good news is there is a quick fix for most people if you actually do the work and you actually try to start implementing things. If you try to get consistent with your health, if you try to get consistent with your sleep times, if you try to get consistent with your wake times. And as always, the first step is just total awareness of knowing that it's something that is happening with yourself. Because so many times we kid ourselves that we're in this position where we want to improve our health, but we're not ready to do the work. But if you know that you're sleeping at different times, just set yourself a window of about an hour, half an hour each way of when you would normally go to bed to say, look, this is the time when I want to get to sleep, and commit to doing that and do it for a week and see whether you notice a difference. The hardest thing I notice with some people is the weekends, because there's so many other social commitments, so many more like family commitments, anything like that. And the experience that I've had with working with people all around the world in different cultures is that just set those expectations with your loved ones. Speak to them and say ahead of time that, look, I want to get to sleep at this amount of time. This is the reason why. It's going to improve my health. That is going to improve our relationship. And you're going to get a much nicer version of myself. As always, if you do want help with this, if you want to have a look at how nutrition is going to impact your health, if you want to look at how to optimize your routine, if you want to look at how to actually put exercise in there, how we can really level up your health and get you really truly reaching your full potential, drop me a message and we can talk and get on a call pretty quickly. Actually, we'll get on a call within the next couple of weeks and talk through this and see how we can help you. Thank you for watching and have a great day.